What's your name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, I'll give you an easy one. You can answer.
Okay.
It's Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen. Give her a hand. It's Lindsay. No, you didn't hear me. I said it's Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen. What stressful states or emotions do you tend to go in more often?
Freezing in front of people.
Freezing in front of people. How convenient that we got that one. And what is the feeling or the emotion that makes you freeze?
Judgment.
Judgment. So your fear is that someone's going to judge you, and so then you freeze.
I freeze.
Yes, so now look at this. Fight, flight, or freeze are the three things that your brain does when it's in survival. All she needs to have survival is ask me a question publicly. Holy shit. Oh my God, my survival. If I don't come up with the right answer, I'm dead, which is why she never gave me an answer. How many follow? Raise your hand if you see this. Okay, so that's hers. What's your favorite flavor of suffering, sir? Which one do you tend to overuse? What's your name, by the way?
Mike.
Mike, nice to meet you, Mike. Give a hand, it's Mike, ladies and gentlemen, for God's sakes! No, I said it's Mike, ladies and gentlemen! Woo! What's your favorite flavor of suffering?
Scarcity.
Scarcity. So, feeling like there's never enough?
I've been through a lot of scarcity, although now I've turned a lot of things around, and I have so much, I'm so blessed and have so much to be grateful for.
Yes.
However, I don't want to return to the scarcity.
So what happens is his life abundant right now by his own description, yes or no? Yes. Ton, very abundant. But he remembers when it wasn't, and his survival software says, let's stress out in case that comes back, so we're always prepared. There's no logic to it because this is not logical, it's survival. Is he in survival? No. When he thinks those thoughts, he feels like he's in survival. What is your favorite flavor of suffering? Shut it out. What is yours? How many have worry as your favorite one, the one you overuse? How many have anger as the one you overuse? How many got fear as the one you overuse, right? So once you know what it is, here's what I did. I made a decision that I've come by right now to bring to you. The decisions are what change our life. It's not our experience, it's not the events, it's not what people have done to us, it's what we've decided to focus on, what we decided to feel, what we decided to do that shapes our lives. How many follow this? Say I. So here's what I came by to do today. If you asked me up until 2 years ago, what's the most important decision of your life, since decisions are what change lives, I would have said simply, who you spend time with is who you become. Who you decide to love, who you decide to make love to, who you decide to marry, who you decide to have as your best friend, that shapes you more than anything else. And that's still true, but I've now discovered there's a more important decision. Here's what it is. If you wanted to change your life forever, you cannot control your future. You can shape it, but you can't control it. What are the chances of you experiencing enormous disappointments, frustrations, or pain over the course of your life? Are those things going to happen or not? Yes or no? So they can happen without suffering. Pain, as we all know, is part of life. We've all heard that. Suffering is optional. To be able to do this, you have to make the most important decision that I made 2 years ago. And the decision is this: life is too short to suffer. And I don't care. Who's with me on this, by the way? Make some noise here. Shout it out loud. Life is too short to suffer. How many believe that? Say I. Then here's what I want you to get. If life is too short to suffer, then you and I have to make a decision. Now, when I say decision, I mean a real decision. Not I'd like to if it all comes together. A real decision is one where you cut off any other possibility. It's like when I tell people, if you want to take the island, burn your boats. Because if there's no way back, you're going to go through it. Who knows what I'm talking about here, my life experience? Say I. So what I did was, I was with my friend and he said to me this. He said, Tony, I've made a decision to never suffer again. He goes, that's not true. I've made a decision to end suffering as it arises because the brain's always looking for shit to suffer with. But when it happens, I just let it go. I relax and let it go. I relax and let it go. And I've trained myself to do it. He said, because here's what I decided. My spiritual vision for life is to live in a beautiful state every day, no matter what. Even when things don't go well, even when people try to be unjust, even when there's something hurtful, because life's too short to suffer. And I said, brother, I'm in. And I made the decision, but I didn't just make it. I went home and I wrote pages and pages of why I'm not gonna let suffering control my life anymore. Because listen to me, when you're suffering, you are not there for your children, you are not there for your husband or wife, you are not there for the people you love, you're not even there for you. Who's with me on this? Say I. What's the first thing they tell you when you get on an airline? They say, if there's a problem and we lose oxygen, these masks are gonna come down, and the minute they come down, put it on your child. Is that what they say? What do they say? Put it on yourself. Doesn't that sound selfish? But it's only if you can't take care of you, you can't take care of them. And the first place to take care of you is not more achievement. I'm all for you achieving more and happy to help, and all these other people I'm sure helped you today. But what matters is enjoyment. There is nothing in this life without enjoyment. It doesn't matter how much love is out there. Just remember Robin Williams' life and you will have the truth. If you want a different life tonight, you gotta change. And I'll tell you how I finally got it. I'm privileged enough now to have my own plane, so I can fly where I want to go and have a bed. It's a wonderful gift. But most of my life, I chartered, and when I went overseas, I didn't charter. It was too expensive to fly from the United States to Australia, like $500,000, $400,000 to buy a plane. Doesn't make sense. But what happens, I sold the company, so I have that. But for most of my life, I would get on a commercial aircraft, I would fly out of the United States 3 times a year to go to Australia. It's a 14-hour flight from the West Coast. And I would be so stressed. Why? Because I'm gonna be sitting for 14 hours and they have no internet. I got 31 companies, I got all 1,200 employees, I got all these moving parts. And while I'm sitting here, it's all accumulating and getting more. So when I land, they'll have all these Slacks and texts and emails, and there'll be social media shit, and I'd be so stressed out. Isn't it amazing what we can stress ourselves out over just with some thoughts? So I asked myself a new question. What's stressful about sitting? And then I made it even better. I'm in first class. What's stressful about lying down and sleeping? But I was doing this in my head. And I kept working on it. And then one day, they did something unique. I got on the plane. You know what they said? Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing announcement for you tonight. For the first evening in the history of Qantas Airlines, we have international internet! And make the noise you think people make. Go ahead. How do you think people respond? People stood up on the plane and cheered. I was tempted to, but I didn't want them to see me there, so I stayed down. But I felt the same way. Yes, thank God, we've got Facebook back, we've got text. And then what happened within 9 minutes? Anybody guess? Down. And when did it come back on? Never! It's still not working! But here's what's so amazing. What do you think people said when it broke down 9 minutes later? When it happened, oh my God, the greatest thing that ever happened! It drops off in 9 minutes. How do people react? What do you think? This is bullshit! What kind of crappy organization does this? This is stupid. Why would they even announce it? They should have tested this. Listen to me. 9 minutes earlier, it was a miracle. Now, it's an expectation. Write this down. Trade your expectation for appreciation and your whole life will change in that moment. Trade your expectation for appreciation and your whole life will change in that moment. If you want to end your suffering, I will show you right now what's creating it. Write these 3 words down. Loss, less, never. Loss, less, never. If you want to know why you're suffering, one of these 3 words is the trigger. Let's start with loss.